that, welcome Lynn Woodland.
Thank you. Well, before I get started, I'm just going to ask my husband, Bill Baker, over here to set the mood with a little music.
Love is real. Real is love. Love is real. Real is love. Love is needed. Feeling love. Love is wanted to be loved. Love is touch. Touch is love. Love is reaching. Reaching love. Love is asking to be loved. My love is you, you and me. Love is knowing we can be. Love is free. Free is love. Love is living. Living love. Love is needed to be loved.
Good morning, everyone. It's so nice to be back. It's February. It's the month where it's really hard not to give attention to love, and usually the focus is on the presence or lack thereof of romantic love in our lives. But I want to talk about love today in a bigger context, because really love is the source of our highest good, and in all sorts of ways, in really every way. And just for one thing, love heals our body. It literally heals our body. In fact, there's a guy, Dean Ornish, you may have heard of, a best-selling author, also a heart expert. He's an MD, a heart specialist. And he's done a lot of work with this. He's actually compiled all the medical research that proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that love in all sorts supports health and healing. But that's not all. Quantum science is showing in the realms that are too small to perceive with our physical senses. Well, in those realms, reality just behaves totally differently than it does in the world that we can see and touch and perceive with our physical senses. But in that really tiny realm, the very underpinnings of the universe we now know to consist of light. And this field of light comprises a virtually limitless energy source, if we only knew how to tap it. And there's all kinds of interesting science related to this field that is called the 0 point field. For one thing, there's some indications that all knowledge and memory and information could be stored in this field rather than in our physical brains. But I think another really interesting glimpse into this field of light that also comes from, the edges of science can be found in the growing body of research that's being compiled on people who've had near-death experiences. Those folks who've clinically died and their consciousness has left their body and then they come back, are revived and tell a story. And they tell a very similar story. And they talk about coming into contact with a mystical light. And these experiences are profoundly transforming to those folks, leaving survivors forever changed. And those people who've had near-death experiences who've been followed over long periods. And there's a guy, Melvin Morse, another MD. He's actually a pediatrician. And he started studying children in his practice who had died and been revived into adulthood and did all kinds of testing along the way. And he found that those people had a measurably higher zest for life than the general population. They had virtually no death anxiety or depression. They were apt to be more psychic. They actually had more psychic abilities. And there was even some suggestion that they might even come away from those experiences more intelligent. And very well could be that brief clinical death releases those individuals from the limitations of physical perception that seem to be some kind of veil between our direct experience of the 0 point field. So they could just be in it in a very perceptual way. And interestingly, the light that people experience, this field of light that they described, was never a cold or neutral kind of experience. Again and again, those who had gone into the light and come back talked about it as being powerfully benevolent. In fact, they talked about a light of unconditional love, a light that was just synonymous with unconditional love. So, from these different bodies of science and research, we're getting the picture of this limitless, living, benevolent energy field that's light, it's love, it's everywhere, it's ever present, but it's invisible to our physical senses. To me that sounds like a good working definition of God. In fact, as the Bible puts it, God is love. And what I love about this quote is that it doesn't say God is loving, it says God is love, period. And love, we're seeing this love light is the substance of the universe. It's what makes up everything. And even though scientists have yet to discover a way to tap this limitless source, they're working on the machines. They speculate that it could meet all of our energy needs in this very indefinite, limitless way. Even though they haven't built that machine yet, perhaps the most accessible route into this 0 point field energy, this God energy, is just through love. And I think that's why it has such a powerful healing impact, because love just connects us to divine source. From my own observations over 4 decades, I remember my colleague Michael Underwood, when I was a ministerial guide here, always said, well, Lynn's been doing this stuff since before God made dirt. And I kind of have. It's all I've ever done. It's God help me if I ever had to get a real job. I have no skills but this. So I've had a lot of time to just observe this stuff, and miraculous experience has always been my thing. And having watched how the process works, I believe love is what calls forth not just miracles, not just healing, but our our well-being at every level. And so what I want to do here is move beyond just talking about love to see if we can create a little experience here, a little experiment with love, to see what we might be able to call forth, what aspect of our highest good we can just call in today. So just to start this off, everybody just close your eyes for a moment. Just take a deep, full breath. And just get comfortable in your seat. Let your attention turn inward. And just give some attention to what you would really like to call forth in your life. What would you like to call into being that would support your highest happiness, your highest good, your health, your happiness, your joy? What are you most wanting to heal or grow or manifest or be or do? And whatever comes to mind, just take a moment to imagine it as though it's already happened and you're just enjoying the experience of it. You're just living the dream, you're feeling all the fulfillment of it. Just make that really vivid and present until you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. And then just take a deep breath and open your eyes again. And now, if you really did enjoy that little experience of imagining your heart's desire as though it's already happened, that was a love state. That was a state of love. Because, love takes a lot of different forms. Even if we're just taking a bite of our favorite ice cream and we're just in this very present and expansive, state, that's a vibration of love. We feel like we have to keep eating to the bottom of the gallon. That goes into addiction. That's not the same thing. But that first, love hits us in a lot of different contexts of life. So if you had that feeling, that was a love vibration. And it is very magnetic to calling in your highest good. Now, there's a lot of conventional teachings out there on the law of attraction and the power of intention that would tell you to just keep visioning what you want as though it's already happened. And that's what's going to call it in. I'll just keep holding positive thoughts around it. But I found that this approach can be a really slippery slope out of love and into fear. And I'll tell you why. Often what happens, if you've ever worked with those kind of techniques, we start with the exhilaration of, isn't it wonderful? Then we come out of that moment. Then we start looking around to see if it's happened yet. Then we start to wonder when it's going to happen. And then we wonder if it's going to happen. And then we just start wondering, does this stuff even work anyway? And then we've shifted from love into fear. And, all that time we spend worrying about, first off, identifying what we want, envisioning what we want, worrying about what we want, wondering about what we want. It's all also very separative. It kind of keeps us in our own little bubble. And that's more of a fear vibration too. And fear repels our highest good as powerfully as love attracts it. So instead of keeping our focus on our own private agendas here in our experiment today, we're going to do something that I've found to be a lot more effective to keep growing the vibration of love. So the first step in this more effective process that I've been working with is to just forget about your own agenda. Just let it go. Imagine that it's like a little seed and you planted it so you don't have to keep worrying it. You don't have to push it and pull it and prod it. You can just let it go. So let it go. And now for the next part, I actually need a volunteer. Is there anybody who'd be willing to help me with this? If so, just stand up. Come on up. Come on up. Come on up. Now you are going to be the catalyst for all of us to raise our vibration in love. And so I'm actually going to just get out of the way, let you be front and center. Just be front and center. Can I sit down? I was going to say, let's make you comfortable. Get yourself a little chair. Pull up the princess chair here. Just get comfy. Just sit there. And, first take a good look at Krista. Just take a look at her and then close your eyes. Just close your eyes. And again, just take a deep breath or two. There are all kinds of ways we keep ourselves separate from one another, and consequently separate from love. So with your eyes closed, just picture all the other people in this room. You might even just be aware of how many of the other people in this room you've even noticed this morning. And whether you know a lot of people here or not, you can probably imagine someone in this room who triggers your judgments or your fears. Maybe someone you'd hesitate to approach because you think they wouldn't want to talk to you. Or maybe because you don't really like them all that much. Or maybe you see them as unworthy of your time and attention, maybe thinking that they have nothing to offer you. We all tend to do this to a greater or lesser degree. It's part of our human condition. And this tendency to separate ourselves is also a big way that we separate ourselves from love, which in turn limits our ability to connect with the divine source, which is what supplies our health and our happiness and our fulfillment, and it calls in our heart's desires. So, if you've never thought about it this way before, consider now that any lack of love you have for anyone in this room is in the way of your highest good. Now, the good news is that we can increase our vibration of love in just an instant by simply choosing love over separateness. And this is where our catalyst, Krista, comes in. So at this point, everybody just open your eyes again and just look at Krista. And Krista, all you need to do is sit there. Now maybe Krista is someone you like and you feel comfortable with. Maybe you have a special connection with her. Maybe she just looks like someone you'd like to hang out with. Or maybe she's someone you don't know very well. And if that's the case, just notice what kind of assumptions you've already made about her. Assumptions before you have even a chance to notice that you're making assumptions. When we look at someone through the eyes of our personality, we always bring some degree of separateness into the process. We always do, even with the people we love the most. Who among us hasn't at times looked at our most beloved soulmate and wondered, does he really have to breathe that way? It's just part of the process. And so as Krista sits here, just notice what you do in your own human personality experience that creates separateness between you and her. Maybe she seems like a little better than you, or a little lesser than you, or different from you, or maybe she could hurt you. Just see what it is, because she's, gotta watch out for Krista. We can't put aside what we don't see is there. And even if Hitler was sitting up here, we could still love Hitler. We can love anyone Doesn't mean we spend all our time with them, doesn't mean we take them home with us, be their best friend. We can love anyone, anywhere, anytime, under any circumstances. So see, anything in you that says, oh, I can't love Krista. And to just find it and put it aside. And then take a deep breath. And just allow yourself to see her as God sees her. As perfect, as divine, as a beautiful expression of God, unique in her own way and completely worthy of your love. And in this moment, just love her, not for anything she's ever done, but just because you can. And as you look at her now, just send love. Imagine that she is the most beloved child. And when you can start to feel that in your heart, we're gonna amplify this a bit. What we're gonna do next is put words to the experience of love, because words are very powerful. They are very amplifying. They can take the vibration of love and amplify it. So what I'm gonna invite anyone who's willing to do is to actually stand up and share with Krista the beauty I see in you is. And if you know Krista, you might be able to speak from your experience of her and reflect what you've valued about her. If you don't know Krista, sometimes it's even easier to do it with a complete stranger, because all you need to do is take a guess at what you think Krista's good at, what you think is really beautiful and unique about her, and share that from the bottom of your heart. And often your guess is going to be absolutely right on, because what we make up and imagine, that often opens the door to intuition. Now, as you give this way, unconditionally, just for the love of it, not because she's had to earn it or do anything for you or deserved it, you invite the divine source to give to you in a similar way. You become magnetic to gifts of grace that you don't have to work for or earn or deserve or feel worthy of. So really give as you're now opening to receive from the universe. And Krista, all you need to do is sit there and receive it, because you're going to be doing the important work. When we do this kind of stuff in groups, the whole group, there's something that happens, whereas one person shifts, we all do. So what you're going to do is just be aware of all your feelings of unworthiness. I don't deserve this time. I shouldn't take up so much attention. I shouldn't receive so much. And as you let that go, imagine you're helping all of us to let that go in ourselves. So Krista is going to be breaking through all of our unworthiness for us. Thank you very much, Krista. And I see we have somebody ready to go here.
Krista, the beauty I see in you is honesty.
Krista, the beauty I see in you is courage.
Krista, the beauty I see in you is gentleness, love, and healing.
Krista, I see joy, and I see playfulness, and I see worthiness, and I can feel it.
Krista, I see the beauty of creation.
Krista, I see tenderness.
Krista, the beauty I see in you is encouragement.
Krista, the beauty I see in you is encouragement to other people. I see health, and I see well-being and gentleness.
So you might notice that your heart's feeling open. You know, some of you might be feeling that. If so, you've done something very powerful to change your vibration and become more magnetic to your highest good. Now, there's another piece to this process, because now that Krista has helped us all raise our vibration of love to become more magnetic to our highest good, she is also going to answer all of our most important questions about life. No pressure. She really is. So, Krista, again, all you have to do is sit there. Just sit there. And just relax. Put yourself in a peaceful state of just being loved. And everybody else, just close your eyes. Again, just take a deep breath and, notice what's going on in your heart, if it's a little warmer and fuzzier than it was before after doing some of that love. And realize that the truth about all of us is that everyone is a spiritual being of profound complexity and wisdom and depth. And every being has important gifts to offer us. And this includes our friends, our family, our coworkers, complete strangers, even the people who most annoy us. And the transmission of our highest spiritual gifts doesn't happen at the personality level. It happens when we stop being hooked by all the dramas and dances that are so compelling to our personality. So all those things that limit our experience of love. So as you imagine Krista sitting up here in your mind's eye, just imagine seeing past the personality and the physical being to perceive the rich and multifaceted spiritual being that shines through but is not limited to the body and the personality. And realize Krista's higher self as being incredibly wise, incredibly loving, and powerful. Even beyond anything you've experienced in your personal relationship with her. So just keep sending love. Just keep that love flowing. Just as you have been, just imagine it as a beautiful emanation of light and love that is free of conditions and free of personal agendas. It's not grasping for anything. Purely, freely given, just because you can. And see this emanation of love that you're sending to Krista, now awakening and calling forth the very highest in her, maybe even awakening in her gifts that she doesn't even know she has. And imagine that as you send this love, which remember is the very substance of the universe, you're sending her the raw materials that are going to flow back to you in the form of whatever unique guidance her soul has to offer you. So take a moment now to just formulate an important question you have about life right now. Just you don't have to think about this so much, just see if there's an area of life that you have there's some emotional charge around it for some reason. Maybe you're feeling stuck in an area of life, or maybe you're especially passionate about an area of life. So see what that is, and how you might want some guidance in this area. Now, at the level of our higher selves, our spiritual essence, we're all part of one mind. We're all wise beyond limit. Remember, there's even some science suggesting that all information is stored in the 0 point field, not in our individual brains. And we all, as spiritual beings, have access to this. We're also joined in love, because that is what we are. So whether or not you know Krista well, trust that the spiritual being of her higher self is powerfully wise and has only deep love for you. And as you just do this in your imagination, just imagine, and you don't even need to believe it, just imagine that you truly are in the presence of her soul, as you would be in the presence of a wise teacher. And even though it might feel like you're just making this up, like I said, imagination takes us into intuition. So as you visit with Krista's spiritual essence in your imagination, experience her now coming to you with a message, or a gift, or a healing that's related to your concern. She may speak to you in your imagination. You may hear her voice saying your name and talking to you. She may share information. She may offer reassurance or give some guidance. She may show you something. She may give you a gift. She may just simply radiate love and healing. And if it's hard to imagine all this, just simply hold the thought, hold the intention that she is now transmitting to you a wave of energy that's being received by your higher mind, your higher being, as ideas and resources that will become conscious in time as you need them. And feel this transmission being received by your heart as pure love. So just allow yourself to feel bathed and warm and good and relaxed and peaceful, so that your whole body is now absorbing this energy transmission and turning it into whatever support and resource you most need. Now, another way to receive this transmission is to imagine yourself in the role of Krista's higher self. Seeing yourself from her point of view, just imagine being in the front of the room, just looking at yourself in your chair. Maybe she comes closer to whisper in your ear, and in that role, offer wisdom, healing, whatever gifts that just spontaneously flow. Again, make it up, because imagination is very connected to intuition. Just make it up. You might be surprised by what comes through. And imagine now that you have engaged Krista's higher self to work with your higher self for healing and well-being, for manifesting your highest good. And you don't need to think about that anymore. And Krista isn't going to be thinking about it particularly, because we do so much at the level of our spiritual essence that we aren't always conscious of. But know that you have a helper. So just Again, as a silent vibration, send your gratitude back to Krista. So the circle of love just keeps flowing. And then just take a deep breath and open your eyes. So we've sent our silent transmission of thank you. Why don't we send our personal thank yous? Thank you. Krista, I wanted to just check in. Do you want to share anything about what that was like?
Yeah, I just feel like it feels like there's 1,000 butterflies in my heart. That's what it feels like.
I want to just, and you can just go back to your seat now, Krista. Thank you. I want to really suggest that when we break, before you go out of here, you might want to just look around, go up to somebody and say, the beauty I see in you is. Just try it, see what happens. The more we're willing to see the best in somebody else, the more we call it forth. One of my favorite role models of this is a woman who called herself Peace Pilgrim. Some of you may have heard of Peace Pilgrim. I think she was a modern day saint. She just walked all over the country, lived homeless, owned nothing, basically as a pilgrim to talk to people about peace. And she was never afraid of anyone. And if you ever have a chance to check out the book that was written of her words, it's Peace Pilgrim in her own words, I think it is. Mm-hmm. And she tells all these amazing stories of people who were really intending to do her grave bodily harm, and she just saw their goodness, and they couldn't. It just completely diffused them. Just maybe this week, really practice, even if you can't bring yourself to say it out loud, looking at all the people you meet and seeing something beautiful about them. In a moment, we're going to have a little bit more music from Reverend Bill over here. But first, I want to just talk a little bit about the offering, because we'll pass baskets around while Bill's doing some music. And I personally think, Jan, why don't you come up, because you want to say some things too. I personally think the offering, the letting go of money toward our spiritual source and our spiritual juice is an incredibly important part of the spiritual work. It's not just the way that you keep your spiritual source in business. It's really something that gives roots to the spiritual work you did so that it manifests in a physical way, not just a spiritual way. So if any of you are in touch with heart's desires that you want to manifest in the physical, really connect this offering to that and just give in an unconditionally loving way, because that primes the divine source to give back to you in a material and abundant way as well. So take this part really seriously. And Jan, why don't you?
Thank you. I'm Jan Wickman, and I actually I wrote a little letter. And there's an insert today around how we are trying to create a community where there's consistent income so we can stay viable, and also consistent income which allows us to continue our reach and support of amazing services like today. And so what you'll see in here, and maybe some of you have seen this, but the little green laminated dollar bill, or it's a $100 bill that we sometimes put in the basket at offering. We're not being cheap. This is actually representative of those of us that have chosen to go online and pledge our monthly equivalent so that we can have consistent income. And so today we're really asking, we've got what we call 30 for 30. Our commitment is to get 30 individuals who believe in this community, whether you're a member or not, to support us in that way. It makes a huge difference for us, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Jan. Why don't we have the offering baskets send around, and Bill, you want to?
All right, well, everybody, sing along with me, if you will, and sing this song the next time you're in a crowded elevator. You are so beautiful to me. You are so beautiful to me. Can't you see? Everything I hope for, everything I need, you are so beautiful to me. You are so beautiful to me. You are so beautiful to me. Can't you see? Everything I hope for, every little thing I ever needed, yeah. You are so beautiful to me. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Nothing you can do that can't be done. Nothing you can sing that can't be sung. Nothing you can do, but you can learn how to be in time. It's easy. Nothing you can make that can't be made. Nothing you can save that can't be saved. There's no one you can save that wasn't where you meant to be. It's easy. All right, now. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. Nothing you can know that isn't known. No one you can see that isn't shown. There's nowhere you can be that isn't where you're meant to be. It's easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. 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 I need love. All need love. Now who's going to do it? She loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, all you need is love.